Women carry a strength that moves mountains, but beneath that fierce power lies a depth of emotional nuance that many men never even notice. In today's world, women are expected to be everything: strong but soft, ambitious but nurturing, independent yet selfless, and in that pressure to do it all, their inner world often gets ignored, even by the men closest to them. But here's the truth: when a man learns to understand the emotional heartbeat of a woman, he doesn't just become a better lover, he becomes a better human. This is not a checklist of flaws to fix, or weak spots to exploit. This is an invitation to go deeper, to connect not through charm, but through presence. Because the most powerful connection is never built on seduction, it's built on understanding. So today, on Shining Mirror-LVB, we're diving into 10 emotional vulnerabilities women often carry, not to protect them, not to fix them, but to love them more fully. The fear of not being enough. Even the most confident women, the leaders, the fighters, the ones who light up rooms, they have moments when doubt creeps in. Am I beautiful enough? Am I too much? Will I ever be loved just as I am? No fixing. No masks. Don't be fooled by the power she carries on the outside. Behind her strength is a quiet longing to be accepted without having to perform. She doesn't want to be worshipped for perfection. She wants to be seen for the cracks she hides. And when you say, with calm clarity, you don't need to prove anything, you're already enough, that isn't just comforting, that's emotional medicine. A high-value man doesn't make her chase worth. He looks into her eyes and reminds her, you, exactly as you are already more than enough. Emotional overload. A woman rarely carries just her own emotions. She carries everyone's: her children's tears, her partner's stress, her parents' hopes, her boss's demands, her best friend's heartbreak. She becomes the emotional anchor for every room she enters. And yet, few ask her, how are you, really? So when she snaps, it's not because she's weak. It's because she's been strong for too damn long. That explosion, it's not chaos. It's a silent scream from a soul running on empty. A grounded man doesn't take it personally. He doesn't fight her, fix her, or flee. He stands steady, like a lighthouse in the storm, not to rescue, but to witness. Not to quiet her, but to hold space for her emotions. Even the messy ones, because when a woman lets you see her at her most vulnerable, she's not pushing you away. She's saying, I trust you with the truth of me. The craving for deep connection. She doesn't crave small talk. She craves presence, not the kind where you're there in body, but your mind's a million miles away. She wants you to listen with your eyes, with your silence, with the kind of stillness that says, I'm here, I'm with you, and I care to understand. Not because she's fragile, but because she's tired of surfaces in a world that fears depth. She wants to feel your attention like a warm fire, not a flickering match, to speak without needing to perform, to be heard without being fixed. You don't need all the answers, you just need to show up real. Because any man can touch her body with charm, but it takes a grounded, courageous man to touch her soul with truth. And when he does, that's when she chooses to stay. Women don't need perfect, they need present, insecurity and intimacy. Even when she's lying next to you, she might still be silently wondering, do you truly desire me, or just the idea of someone? Because for women, intimacy isn't just physical, it's emotional validation. It's not just about being touched, it's about being seen. Seen beyond the curves, beyond the surface, seen in a way that says, you matter, not because you're perfect, but because you're real. She carries old wounds you may never know, shame she's never spoken out loud. And if you're not paying attention, she may feel more used than loved, more replaced than embraced. The man who makes her feel deeply desired isn't the most ripped or the most experienced. It's the one who stays present without judgment, who touches her gently, not just with hands, but with acceptance, and who whispers with his gaze, you are enough, right now, as you are. The weight of expectations. A woman doesn't just live her own life. She lives under the expectations of society, her culture, her family, and often, her man. She's told, be independent, but not too strong, or you'll intimidate men. Earn your own money, but don't forget how to cook. Chase your dreams, but don't neglect the kids. Be a great mom, but still keep your body tight. your skin glowing, and your husband happy. It's a game she's expected to win, even when the rules are rigged against her. And the hardest part? When she's exhausted, no one asks, "Are you okay?" They ask, "Why do you look so tired? Aren't you teaching your kid properly? You're always working." Doesn't your husband get upset? When a woman is crushed under silent pressure, she doesn't need someone to fix her. She needs someone to see her, hear her, stand beside her without trying to change her. Not to carry the burden for her, but to be the place she can rest, just for a moment. Because sometimes, the most healing words are simply, "You don't have to be perfect. Just be you, and that's enough." Old wounds. Every woman carries a story. And behind her smile, there might be chapters no one ever stayed long enough to read. Maybe it was a past relationship that broke her trust. Maybe she grew up too fast, always being the strong one. Maybe every time she showed emotion, someone called her too sensitive. And then one day, she reacts too strongly to something small. You might think, why is she overreacting? But what you don't realize is, you just touched a scar someone else left behind. Don't call it drama. Don't tell her to just let it go. Those experiences made her who she is. And if you can't love the cracks, then you don't truly love her. A real man isn't intimidated by her past. He's strong enough to stand steady in the storm it left, and gentle enough to tread lightly where others caused pain. Because sometimes, healing doesn't come from advice. It comes from presence, from a steady voice that says, "I see you, I'm not going anywhere." Fear of being abandoned. She may never say it out loud, but deep down, many women carry a quiet fear. The fear of being left. Left physically, when a man disappears without a word. Left emotionally, when he's still around, but his heart checked out long ago. The dinner dates continue, but the presence is gone. Women don't crave pampering. They don't need expensive gifts to cover emotional absence. What they need is consistency. A man who stays when things get hard. A man who listens, even when she can't find the right words. A man who doesn't hide behind, "I'm busy," but understands that presence is always a choice. The fear of abandonment isn't weakness. It's the echo of a heart that once hoped and once hurt. Be the man who makes her stop wondering if you're still there. Let your consistency speak louder than your promises. Because sometimes, real love isn't about the vows you make, but the presence you keep. Even when no words are spoken, she wants to be heard, not fixed. When a woman shares her frustration, her overwhelm, her confusion, many men instinctively jump into problem-solving mode. Don't overthink it. It's not that big a deal. Let me tell you what to do. But often, what she needs isn't a solution. It's space, a moment where she can simply feel without interruption, to cry without being questioned, to express without being edited, to be vulnerable without being told to toughen up. When you truly listen, you're saying, "I see you, I'm here, and you don't have to hold it together for me to stay." That's not weakness, that's presence, the kind of grounded strength that doesn't need to fix everything. Just needs to stay, because in many moments, healing doesn't come from the right advice, it comes from the right heart. The guilt of putting herself first. Women are taught from an early age, to love means to sacrifice. They give endlessly to their children, their partners, their careers, their families, their friends, and somewhere along the way, they forget how to give to themselves. But what most people don't realize is this: when a woman finally chooses to rest, to say, "I'm tired," to take one quiet afternoon just for herself, the first thing she feels isn't peace. It's guilt. Guilt for not doing enough. Guilt for being selfish. Guilt for simply choosing herself, even for a moment. And that's where the presence of a grounded, understanding man becomes powerful. He doesn't demand. He doesn't rush her. He doesn't label her need for rest as weakness. Instead, he supports it. He encourages it. He protects that sacred, simple right, the right to pause. Because a woman doesn't need a hero to save her. She needs a space where she can breathe, be still, and be herself, without apology. The need for an emotionally safe space. Women don't need a man who has all the answers. What they need is someone who stays when they no longer have the strength to pretend they're okay. In a world that tells them to always be graceful, Always be composed. Always be fine. Most women don't get the space to truly fall apart. They smile through tears. They swallow their anger for fear of being labeled too emotional. But here's the truth. Love doesn't begin with perfection. Love begins the moment a woman realizes, even when I'm hurt, even when I'm angry, even when I'm vulnerable, he stays. He doesn't flinch when you can sit with her in the middle of her emotional storm. Not to fix, not to correct, but simply to be present. That is what we call emotional safety. And once a woman feels safe in that space, she'll give you her truest self, unguarded, unfiltered, unmasked, just her. And that's the most beautiful gift you could ever receive. Understanding women is not a weakness. It's the mark of a man who has truly grown emotionally, spiritually, and relationally. Not to decode her, not to fix her, but to walk beside her, with deep respect and a heart that listens beyond words. A real man doesn't run from emotion. He faces it, he connects through it, and he offers a safe space where a woman can show up as her full, unfiltered self. When you truly see her, not just with your eyes, but with your soul. When you hear not just her words, but the ache behind her silence. That's when love becomes more than just love. It becomes something sacred. A sacred bond between two raw, awakened hearts. Shining Mirror-LVB, where powerful words reflect your deepest self. Drop a comment. Which line in this video hit you the hardest? And if this resonated with you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more bold, soul-stirring reflections.